Over the last 24 years, gaming has grown in popularity at a breakneck speed. Like a rocket being shot out of the atmosphere, it has had explosive growth. It has become so popular around the world that the International Olympic Committee has made the announcement that the first ever Olympic eSports games are to be held in Saudi Arabia in 2025. That's right, pretty soon the world's best Tetris player will be able to call himself an Olympic gold medalist. Michael Phelps is going to seem like an absolute nobody once the official Olympics Smash Brothers tournament gets going. It is funny to think of a room of Olympic medalists, all these shredded elite athletes in peak shape, and then the gamers across the room. Gaming has been garnering more mainstream support for years, especially since the pandemic. It has been taking a more prominent place in popular culture. Even taking a look at most esports rankings sees college teams amongst the ranks, and more universities are beginning scholarship programs to help build out their esports divisions and teams. The International Olympic Committee first announced they were working toward a video game Olympics in June of 2024. The host city hadn't been announced, but it was another sign that more and more mainstream organizations are beginning to warm up to the idea of esports. There have been some gaming-related sub-events at the Olympics for some time, but this will take it to a similar level as the mainstream events. For example, in the 2021 Olympic Virtual Series, several countries competed in a variety of sport game events on titles you've probably never heard of. No offense to the athletes who compete in these series, but I had literally never heard of eBaseball Powerful Pro Baseball before researching for this video. There is a cycling game, a virtual regatta game, and the only familiar title on the list was Gran Turismo Sport for the racing competition. I hope the Olympic Committee opens up to some more mainstream games to induce a higher level of competition. I know the competition now is probably at a high level, but I really have no desire to spend hours watching people play an off-brand baseball game from 2020. I don't know how expensive the rights would be, but an international FIFA tournament would be incredible to watch. Even just adapting the most mainstream game for each sport would go a long way when it comes to potential viewership. I think either way there will be a large amount of support when it comes to the time of the event. But it is surprising they aren't supporting more internationally renowned titles. I do think we're still quite a ways away from an international Fortnite competition in the Olympics. At first, they are going to focus on sports-related games and develop a market. Plus, I think this next decade is going to show a lot in terms of how long games can actually be profitable entities. Gaming is becoming a much more mature market, and with that, it might be the first time multiple titles stretch into the multi-decade range. Once titles can last that amount of time, it makes more sense for something like the Olympics to embrace it wholeheartedly. One thing I really hope the Olympics stay strong on is keeping a degree of separation between the real Olympics and the gaming Olympics. It would be pretty embarrassing to have athletes who have spent decades mastering their sport right next to our best gaming specimens. I have a huge respect for pro gamers and the effort it takes to get to that level of competitiveness. But that being said, I think it is best for both parties if there is a degree of separation between the two. At the end of the day, the two things are just not comparable in a direct manner. I think the Gaming Olympics can stand on its own 2 feet and become financially lucrative for the International Olympic Committee. Before starting this video, I really didn't realize how much of a moneymaker the Olympics is. The television rights alone for the Olympics reached nearly $5 billion. That is a solid chunk of change, but that is still before the tourism dollars, merchandise sales, and soft power credit is added to the equation. While some countries insist on blowing insane dollars on infrastructure for the games, for reasonable nations, it can be a solid profit for hosting the games. The Olympic Committee makes a solid amount, and the Gaming Olympics is another potential spot to generate some money for the Olympics. I think we are still quite a ways from gaming demanding billions of dollars for their broadcast rights, but over the next decade, it is totally possible that it can be worth millions. Even generating tens of millions in broadcasting revenue would make it one of the largest gaming tournaments of all time every time it is put on. It would help make it even more of a big deal than it already is. Imagine how interesting the Subway sandwich from an Olympic gaming athlete would be too. Optic Kangaroo's official meatball sub. The younger generations really do idolize gamers, so this would be great exposure for advertisers to break into a new market. A wise decision would be to embrace some streaming networks and influencers for mass amounts of coverage. I don't think you would even need to pay influencers a ton to support the Olympics. Just maybe give them a ticket to attend, or give them the rights to restream their reactions. Especially when starting out, this advertising can be key to cultivating a die-hard base before you've even really gotten going. The first time you throw any event is always going to be the least popular, so making sure you can get as many viewers into fans as possible is important for the long-term success of the gaming events. One of the things that keeps the Olympics such an amazing event is the rarity of it. Only once every 4 years can you really enjoy the international level of competition that the Olympics brings. One thing that makes me a bit nervous is its implied wording that the Gaming Olympics are going to be held on a more regular basis. I hope they don't end up going this route, because I think the limited timelines of the Olympics make it much more competitive and a more entertaining viewing experience for fans. If the Gaming Olympics is something that happens every single year, I just think interest in it overall is going to be hard to keep as high as the standard games. Spacing out the events would be something to consider as well. For example, currently both winter and summer games are on a 4-year cycle, meaning every 2 years there are Olympics to potentially watch. Working in the Gaming Olympics to this schedule would need to be done in a way where it doesn't fall too close to other Olympic Games. It is interesting that this continues Saudi Arabia's trend of using sports to soften the view of other nations on its regime and ruling practices. They are spending insane amounts of money in sports, entertainment, and now gaming to help boost their international reputation and put themselves in a more stable position. By fronting the money to host the Gaming Olympics for the next decade, they bring themselves goodwill from potential fans, the Olympic Committee, and help make their nation look extremely modernized. It is something they started doing with physical sports, but the practice works the same way even for eSports. I really do think they need to get on board with having more mainstream games in the competition. Rainbow Six Siege does their World Cup, and it's one of the more enjoyable events to watch. I think if the Olympics embraced the main esports games like Valorant, Siege, Counter-Strike, Fortnite, Call of Duty, and League of Legends, it would have an insane amount of viewer support. I even think most games would be willing to lend their usage license for free in exchange for being an Olympic event. Think about the free advertising boost you would get by being able to say your game had Olympic athletes representing it. I know parents are already getting more on board with gaming, but it's way easier to ask your mom for one more game if there's a potential Olympic career on the line. Jokes aside, I do think it would help legitimize gaming and give more credence to those who want to dedicate hours to practicing a certain title. It would be interesting to see what nations really dominated Olympic gaming. Obviously, Korea and Japan would have an edge since they currently dominate the Olympic circuit. However, nations like the USA, UK, France, and India all have potential to field a solid team and bring a decent level of competition to the world stage. Imagine how fun it would be to watch a nation no one expects come out of nowhere and totally destroy everyone's expectations. It would be like Cool Runnings for Gran Turismo. It really is like we are watching a piece of gaming history. It's not every day that you get to witness the establishment of something with as long of a storied history as the Olympics. Maybe hundreds of years from now, someone will be doing their 8th grade history paper about how the Gaming Olympics officially got their start in 2024 in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, an ancient civilization that prioritized getting the most victory royales above everything else. They had entire oil pipelines set up to power their gaming machines and dominated the world's leaderboards. While some people are looking at this as a potential controversy due to Saudi Arabia's controversial regime, I think looking more towards the long-term future, this has potential to boost gaming's legitimacy on the world stage. Sure, there are better actors this could be hosted by, but they really love throwing around their money in the desert. If they want to pay for the next decade of international gaming competition, the committee is obviously going to jump on board and allow them to do that. It is less of an endorsement of their human rights policy and more of an acceptance of endless bags of money being dropped on their doorsteps. Sports washing is a legitimate concern. That's the practice of buying sports teams and to help boost your international image and reduce pushback over human rights violations. While esports is cool, I don't think Saudi Arabia just hosting the games is going to turn gamers around the world into MBS sympathizers. Hosting the Gaming Olympics is not going to bring mountains of goodwill to the Crown Prince. Look at how Live Golf has gone. They have spent billions trying to build a competitor golf league only for it to be ridiculed and looked down on by most golf fans. Gaming has less of a politically involved fan base than golf. I just don't see it actually changing diplomatic relations. But who knows, maybe we are entering an era where major decisions will be decided over a 1v1, with the winner being whoever can crank the best 90s. Kim Jong-un is going to request that everyone plays some weird North Korean version of Fortnite whenever he wants to compete. Gaming is popular, but we can all agree it ever having such an important spot in international relationships would be embarrassing and pretty much confirm our species is totally doomed. Either way, the Gaming Olympics is coming, and I personally am excited to see how it all shakes out. I think anything like this pushing gaming into the mainstream is a win for gamers everywhere, and I hope it is able to find long-term success introducing a new generation of gamers to the hobby. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to press the like button, comment down below what you think the best Olympic event will be, and subscribe if you like gaming videos similar to this. Last week we released a documentary about how gaming saved the Japanese economy. Thank you for watching.